as we'll show you on Inside the Play. Enrique sets the back screen, he gets the ball, then you see Nino Williams sets the down screen for Magruder. Now look at Magruder's man, he goes below number 33 Garland Green. It gives Magruder plenty of time to catch his breath and shoot the three.
And do you call that Sacramento because there's more cowbell involved in that play?
I call that Sacramento because Pete Carrill was an assistant for the Sacramento Kings when Rick Edelman was there, and they ran that action a lot with the skilled bigs like Weber that they had, who could dribble handoff into for some great shooters like Michael Bibby.
Like Magruder is trying to be. And so here we go with not quite the starting lineups, because number 3, Clyde Smith III, is on the floor for TCU, or at least he was, but then they've taken him back out.
Well, they need more of that from Abram. They need to get him the ball in the post. He, like Thomas Gibson, is a right shoulder jump hook guy since he's left-handed.
Big basket for Abram, who's got to be a big contributor for TCU to have success. This is the original starting lineup for Kansas State. Magruder, 17.
He needs to take out his teammates for lunch every day if they're going to set screens like that for him. He set up that play very, very well.
3 out of 5 from outside the arc for Magruder. Butler-Lynn started the game for TCU tonight. Green.
If K-State's not going to double, I'd go to Green on the block more and Abram on the block more.
Southwell a little strong with that, but Magruder cleaned it. And Spradling. I go to that more. TCU with an early timeout as they fall behind 44-27. Kansas State shooting 7 of 12 of threes.
Look at Magruder come off that double stagger on the baseline. Great pass by Spradling for the 3.
And then it's Spradling's turn. I can do it too, Rodney. 44-27 Kansas State early into the second half, and ESPN's Journey to the Tourney is a season-long spotlight on games that'll impact the tournament. And tomorrow night, 2 of the top teams in the Big Ten square off as Trey Burke leads number 5 Michigan against Rodney Williams and number 9 Minnesota. What a game that's going to be. ESPN's Journey to the Tourney tomorrow night at 7 Eastern on ESPN, and also live on Watch ESPN. Butler-Lynn, the trigger for TCU. Anderson, hounded by Enriquez from behind. Or in front, and Rodriguez from behind. Now that'll help.
Garland Green got to the paint way too easy. I don't think Bruce Weber wants that kind of middle penetration.
Foot on the line for Butler-Lynn, so it was a 2-pointer. Good look outside by Jordan Enriquez to Spradling. Shot clock at 5. Anderson.
Great hustle by Enriquez getting back on defense.
They just need to make those layups. I mean, obviously Enriquez had a lot to do with why he didn't. Now Southwell did not score in the first half, and that's a big deal for K-State if he's going to knock that down.
Well, he is really, and we talked early in the show, he has opened up the offense for Magruder, because now you have a 4-man who's screening. He's wide. He's wide as opposed to 2 bigs that clog up the lane. He can step out and obviously shoot this shot, so it's more driving and cutting room in the lane area for a guy like Magruder.
They are reviewing
whether it was a 2 or a
2
3.
or a 3, I presume.
This is one of the reviewable plays, and I would I know there's a lot of frustration, especially on the part of my friend Kevin Stallings at Vanderbilt. He would like shot clock violations reviewed because they had that situation against Kentucky where Noel had the ball in his hands. I think they were up 2 at the time. Kentucky was, and they got the shot off, and the referees couldn't review that. You cannot review a shot clock violation, but you can review whether it was a 2 or a 3.
Looked like his foot was outside the line, didn't it? He got it right the first time. I know he's got long toes, but
that's not a great angle. I would say he is behind, but that's not the angle you want. Enriquez has given Kansas State great minutes, and he played at Winchendon Academy for a good friend of mine, Michael Burns, who now is an assistant coach at Robert Morris College.
Wow. Well, among the other things that Jordan Enriquez is doing tonight for them is rebounding. The last one was his 8th. That equals his season high. And I believe they've said it was a 3-point basket for Southwell, just as we presumed. So, never mind. But better to get it right. Didn't take long. Green, nice wraparound for Abram.
Getting Green isolated on the block, getting Abram isolated on the block, I think has given TCU some good results. Even if they don't score, then the defense collapses, and it'll give more opportunity for open shots by the perimeter players for the Horned Frogs.
This young man has given the TCU program a lift. Trent Johnson got him. Abram is a transfer from Arkansas, is from Seagoville High School, suburban Dallas, and there was he's got an aunt who's his closest relative, lives here, and an illness in the family. He was granted a transfer waiver by Arkansas, and that they didn't have him fall into their lap till June. Gibson.
Well, that's something new there. Thomas Gibson with the left shoulder jump hook, right hand. That's progress. Now the defender has to wonder, all right, which shoulder is he going to?
19-point lead for K-State. And Green drew a foul.
Here's Thomas Gibson in the block, usually going right shoulder for the left-hand jump hook. And there he takes that crab dribble into a left shoulder jump hook. And why do I say right shoulder, left shoulder? Because as a defender, that's what you're looking at. You're looking at his left shoulder or right shoulder, as opposed to saying right hand or left hand. Just cleaner communication on a scouting report.
The foul, by the way, was on Spradling, and that's his second. He picked up 2 in a hurry. So Irving replaces him. Yeah, changes the scouting report completely if the guy suddenly is taking and making shots that you don't have any tape of him taking.
That's why summer ball and working out, getting better, improving your skill level, those are all things you can work on. Left hand, right hand, jump shot, foul shots.
Did you like your players to pick one thing that they wanted to improve and work on that in the offseason?
Usually 3 things.
Three things.
Yeah, it's Coach Smith always, Dean Smith at North Carolina always gave us at least three things to work on in the summer. And
did you go to North Carolina?
I think I went to North Carolina. That's in Chapel Hill.
And what did Coach Smith give you to work on typically?
Making sure that I got up and cheered well when my teammates made good plays.
17-point lead for Kansas State in Fort Worth. .36 remaining in regulation. Kansas State over TCU, 49-32. And if you haven't weaned yourself from football yet, tomorrow afternoon we invite you to check out the NFLPA Collegiate Bowl practice sessions on ESPNU. Larry Milkwood, Todd McShay, Bill Polian, and Robert Smith will break down what the eligible seniors need to do to be considered for the NFL Draft. It starts with the American team practice at 1:30 Eastern, followed by the national team at 4:30. Don't forget, catch the NFLPA Collegiate Bowl Saturday at 6 p.m. on ESPN2. Right now, here are ESPN Scouts Inc.'s top 5 draft rankings. There's some pretty good offensive linemen right there in the middle, and Warmack and Jokel. Pretty good defensive line help in Lotulelei and Moore.
I'm impressed you can say that name.
Moore?
No. The guy from Utah. I was wondering if you're going to go there.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
That's good stuff.
Oh, they don't scare me. Here's an update on our one-on-one. We mentioned Magruder and Green. Well, Green's just shot in tough luck. He shot in tough luck against Baylor. And Magruder, of course, has been as advertised for Kansas State.
Well, the thing about Green with his body, he's only gotten to the foul line 2 times, and he's made both of them. I'd love to see him get fouled more.
This one is staying this way. Hill will bring it in. Butler Lynn. Ruder working him. Now Hill.
That's great defense on the ball by Irving.
Yeah, sure was. Rebound by Southwell, and now Angel Rodriguez. Gibson. Magruder. Gibson. Going to count that for Gibson? No.
Watch Magruder moving without the basketball. Great handoff by Gibson. And you see that number 21 was running late. Butler Lynn, because of that big body of Gibson. He's valuable out there in pin downs, flare screens, back screens, dribble handoffs. And Magruder is really taking advantage of Gibson's big body.
Magruder, a 74% foul shooter, but his first trip to the line tonight. Abram with 3 fouls is going to go sit down for TCU. There's a good look at Devontae Abram having a seat, replaced by number 2, Kennell Crossland. There's Magruder. 7 of 11 from the floor. So, of course, he can't make a free throw. Still a 17-point lead for Kansas State. Hill, and a nice block by Southwell, and Magruder will get a little piece of his arm.
The thing you're encouraged with Trent Johnson is their effort. They are still fighting, they're scrapping, they're getting loose balls. Hill's not afraid. Nice block. Good hustle by Magruder. I could see why he would complain, but refs aren't going to get them all. This is a pretty good crew of officials.
McKinney tucked that one in. 48% foul shooter. After we're done, St. Mary's and BYU coming up on ESPNU, so stick around. This is Edric McKinney. Eight points for McKinney.
Chipping away at this. 15 points, 14 minutes. That is just classic. Classic motion offense, pin down.
He seems to be pretty well suited for the offense.
Well, at first it was new to him. He didn't know how to move with it. A lot of kids don't get taught how to move without the ball when they're growing up anymore. It's a lot of isolation, pick and roll basketball. So this is all new to these guys. And once he got comfortable with it, boy, he really likes it. Look at him on the baseline. And then you see Enriquez. And once Butler Lynn trails him, then you curl it. If Butler Lynn would have gone over the top, then you're flaring it to the corner. But then there's no weak side help, because when the ball is in the middle, all right, and you have 2 pairs on each side, there's no help in the middle of the lane. That was a great curl by Magruder, great screen by Enriquez.
Anderson stripped by Irving, ball stayed alive. And Irving never actually touched it, so it went off Kean Anderson.
Kean Anderson's got to tighten up his handle. I mean, I've been a little surprised by how loose that ball is. You got to protect that ball. Put your body in front. That actually went off of Irving's heel.
What did you think? I thought it went off Anderson.
No,
No, you're right. Oh, look at you.
Man.
Come on,
I got these glasses. I got these glasses working. I don't know about yours, but my glasses
Yours
work.
are working better. Yours are working better. It's the last time I doubt you.
Yeah, right. I knew that was coming right there. Great read.
How about Adrian Diaz, the lift that Adrian Diaz has given them today?
Well, he's given a big lift, but that's all Irving, because Irving read that Diaz's man was helping on Magruder, show on Magruder on the pin down, and all of a sudden a little slip to the goal, and again, there's no help in the middle of the lane because the ball is at the top of the key. Here's that pin down. Watch Diaz on the baseline, and then you see the defender of Diaz just peeks a little bit and doesn't keep an eye on man and ball. So all of a sudden, it's like a receiver. When they throw a back shoulder pass, the defensive back can't see the ball. I like my football analogy, Brad.
That was nice.
You do a lot of Cowboys games. Could I replace any of your, you know, they got a future in the football game?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Babe Laufenberg would tell you that I am for rent, not for sale, but yeah, absolutely.
My next life, I'm coming back as either first of all quarterback, because I think 6'7" with a cannon. You know, I got Peyton Manning skills.
Yeah, okay.
And then I'm going to be an offensive coordinator.
Yeah. What you need to come back as a golfer.
No.
You come back as a golfer, and you don't get beat up, and you do just fine. You're in good weather all the time.
There's that Sacramento action for the layup. How do you guard that Sacramento action? Maybe force the scorer opposite. Force them to the basket. Don't let them come off that dribble handoff.
And number 12 is Omari Lawrence, who's the latest addition to the K-State scoring column. They're having fun now. And it's a big deal for Kansas State because TCU may be down a little bit, but it's a road game.
Yep, there you see Lawrence coming off the dribble handoff by Diaz, and he's going to his strong hand being left-handed.
Abram forced it. McKinney. Foul's going to be on Kansas State. 11:57 remaining. 55-36. 55-36 Kansas State, 11:57 to play. And ESPN College Basketball is available live anytime, anywhere on your computer, tablet, or smartphone at watchespn.com and with the Watch ESPN app. I saw you with that on your tablet before.
I love Watch ESPN. I can use it every day.
The Big 12 news and note. Boy, Ben McLemore, we talked about him before, player of the week from Kansas in the Big 12, but keep your eye on George Niang. He's going to make a difference for Iowa State, as Pierre Jackson has been for Baylor.
Well, Pierre Jackson didn't play well against Kansas, but not many people did for Baylor. Not many people do play well against Kansas, but Pierre Jackson is an explosive scoring point guard. George Niang coming out party was in that field house against Kansas, and I was on the call there, and he's going to be a terrific player for Fred Hoiberg.
I just like Fred's team. I like the way he coaches it. I like the way they approach the game. They're fun to watch. Here's McKinney. And one.
Again, they have some fight. They're not giving in. This is a big bruising forward left shoulder. He gets low. And Diaz, probably the worst thing he did all night is the defense right here. Low man wins. And the strength that you saw in McKinney is incredible.
The foul is on Jordan Enriquez. It's his third as he grabs the rebound. And as we get further into the season, into especially March, they're going to need Enriquez to be careful about the kind of fouls he commits, because he's going to make himself valuable, and they're going to need him on the floor.
Well, no question. And you know, but they have that depth, and especially if Diaz starts to step up, he can be aggressive.
Magruder, he followed his shot, ladies and gentlemen.
Well, they're a good offensive rebounding team. And the guy who shoots the ball generally knows where it's going off on the rim, and he was quick to it.
Still seems like a lost art.
Offensive rebounding.
Following your shot.
Following your shot. Some coaches like kids to follow a shot, some coaches don't. I'm not a big fan of following your jump shot, but when you're inside the lane, definitely go after the ball.
Charge here. Or not a charge, just out of bounds off TCU.
Whoa.
Look out, the other way now.
Shoot to the head.
It's a big man coming at you. Irving.
Here's the Sacramento action. Again, both sides.
Irving.
They wear that play out, don't they?
Well, like you said before, if it works, just keep playing.
Right, milk
keep
it.
Running it.
Milk it.
9 of 15 threes for Kansas State. This is a team that shoots 32% from 3.
All right, here's the Sacramento action. Pinned down into a handoff, and if you go below the handoff, you're going to shoot the jump shot. If you go on top of it, you curl it into the lane. Great execution by K-State.
Yeah, no kidding, and congratulations all around for valuable bench minutes from Martavius Irving. Look at this. That's an impressive number now. Point lead. Green's only got 2 field goals, so we're going to get you what Green is from the floor. Remember, he was 0 for 5 against Baylor, and tonight he's 2 for 10. Anderson surveyed the traffic, laid it in. First points of the half. Magruder that time could not make it go down.
The thing about the offense, you've got to be in shape because it's constant motion.
It's funny you say, doesn't he look like he
looked a little winded after that.
He looked heavy right now, like
winded after he missed that shot.
Like maybe his legs were the things that deserted him on that shot.
Well, if you don't have your legs, you're not going to be a good jump shooter. But he is in shape, as this team is in shape. But you've got to be in great shape to not only run the motion offense, but then on the defensive end, play man-to-man defense.
Well, we've got a number of members of the Kansas State baseball team watching from Manhattan, Kansas. Got a little communication before. Nice to have you fellas with us. Good luck with your season. New star player, Clayton Dalrymple. Watching up there with all his buddies. Spradling. TCU will make you work now. Southwell.
That's a great defensive possession by TCU, and the tough thing is you don't get rewarded. And Trent talked about this. You know, you want some real rewards, tangible rewards like stops and wins. And when you don't get them, you just don't want your players to hang their head. So far, TCU has not done that in this game, nor have they done that in this season. And that's a credit to Trent and his staff, and also the character of these young men.
Great anticipation here by Angel Rodriguez. Then Southwell followed it. But I want to follow up on that point, though, because I think it's such a good one. As the season goes along, if TCU doesn't get rewarded with some results for all that effort after a while, it's going to be hard to keep that, isn't it?
It will, but it all depends on that man right there, Trent Johnson. You know, I've been in rebuilding jobs. I took over Notre Dame, and actually North Carolina was a rebuilding job. when I took it. We went 8-20 my second year. And then I took over at FAU. I took over at SMU. So you have to measure things by effort until you get good enough where you measure things in wins. But Coach Smith, when I played, it was always about your effort. Play hard, play hard, play smart, play together. If you do those things, then your talent puts yourself in position to win. But you can't always grade the results. It's like your children. If your kids do the best job they can and they get B's or C's, hey, so be it. But if you're not doing your best job, then we got problems.
Yeah, you can't ask anybody to do more than their best, I guess is what you're saying.
No, bottom line is TCU is not as talented as other teams right now.
Right.
But as long as they play hard, the recruits are coming.
Right.
I promise you. Trent has signed 3 really good players.
Yeah, by the way, they've got those 3, and they've got 3 really good players who are injured. And they're without this year.
And they still have 3 more scholarships to give.
Jordan Enriquez thought that was going to be easy. That's his 10th rebound. It's a season high. But this is the reason, number 22, Magruder, that Kansas State is leading.
Brett, you made the most free throws.
62-40 on Wednesday Night Hoops as TCU welcomes all of us. And here are some people leading the way for their teams in the Big 12. Jay Crockett for Texas Tech. Rodney Magruder, we've been talking about him all evening, and we'll be talking about him all year for Kansas State. And well, Pierre Jackson, I think he's one of the real difference makers in this league.
No question. Anytime you have a point guard that can score and pass the ball, you've got something. I'm looking forward to seeing Jay Crockett next week against Iowa State in Lubbock.
Crockett with the 54% shooting from the floor. Making it tough for opponents.
Chris Walker's done a pretty good job there in a tough situation.
Tough spot.
Taking over at the last minute when Billy Gillespie was let go. But I love Chris Walker's energy and his passion. He was a good basketball player at Villanova and has been involved in high school basketball and college basketball for a long time.
And here's the man leading the way for Kansas State. All year long, Rodney Magruder at the line. His senior teammate, Jordan Enriquez, who's got a season-high double-digit rebounding night going. 8 points to go, or 7 points to go with it. 8 if he makes the next free throw. He could have a double-double.
He was shooting 27% coming into the game, so 1 out of 2 is not bad. It proves his percentage.
2 out of 4 for the game, and it still improved his percentage. Anderson.
That's what he does best. Enriquez block shots.
Oh, and he didn't think he got any part of the player there. That is his 4th foul.
Well, I just think Kean Anderson's a little too casual. He's got to be tougher, stronger with the ball. And then after Enriquez blocks the shots, I was watching Anderson walk to the huddle, and I didn't like his body language.
You weren't the only one.
Well, Trent was getting on Kean and Hill just to make better decisions, and it's frustrating for him, beating Trent Johnson, because he's such a competitor.
Crossman does not get those. And we got another foul on Kansas State. If that's on Enriquez, I believe he's done.
Well, he gets the rebound, and they take it from him. And that's where strength comes into play. And again, Abrams competing, fighting, even though they're down by 23 points. Not giving in.
That's how you avoid getting a double-double when you got 8 and 10 with 7 minutes to play. You foul out of the game.
We talked about Abram earlier. He went to Seagoville High School, same high school as LaMarcus Aldridge.
Right.
One of the many terrific players, not only from the Dallas area, but from the state of Texas, who are having success in the NBA.
Spradling. Rodriguez, under 7 minutes.
That is beautiful possession. It's no set play. It's moving and cutting, and teammates getting Magruder as the primary option. It's much like Steve Alford when Steve Alford played for Bobby Knight in Indiana.
Fourth 20-point game of the year for Magruder. And this is going to be Spradling's fourth foul. He's gotten his in bunches here in this half.
Steve Alford, the All-American, played in the Olympic team for Bobby Knight in 1984. I had to play against Steve Alford. And Coach Knight had pretty much everybody setting screens for Alford because he was such a great shooter. And he was in constant motion, getting running off the screens, and when he's open, he was knocking them down. He's also an excellent foul shooter. Matter of fact, drafted by the Dallas Mavericks.
He was.
Now coaching at the University of New Mexico.
Abram not able to get that one. Magruder would love to have his collegiate career conclude as successfully as Alford's greatest successes. Gibson working for that one.
Well, that was Irving coming off that pin down again, and the defender helps up. Gibson's man's helps up. Gibson goes to the basket. Very unselfish basketball. It's so fun to watch Bruce Weber's offense because it's 5 guys working as one, playing unselfish basketball.
Anderson's got double figures. You know, games like this can also help Bruce Weber kind of plumb the depths of his bench. I mean, if Irving gives him quality minutes like this as he learns the offense, and they've got 2 guys who can play the point.
No question. I think that the building the depth is critical at this time with 5.5 to go.
Gibson draws the foul, and they're going to see if we got a flagrant.
If your elbow hits above the shoulders of an opponent, whether it's intentional or not, it is a flagrant 1. Flagrant foul. Let's see.
If your elbow hits above, it hit him in the chest.
Right. I don't think that would be a flagrant 1. It would hurt, though.
Yeah. The reaction by Abram led Antonio Petty to the conclusion that contact. Now he got a little.
Maybe, yeah, Mike.
He got a little energetic chest with that elbow.
Michael Stewart is talking to Trent Johnson. He got him in the chest.
Right. Yeah.
And Antonio Petty just came up and confirmed that the elbow went to the chest.
And I think the look at that was clear. Good job by you, Mr. Petty.
I thought you were talking about me.
And you too.
Thank you very much.
That just went without saying,
I
thought. First time in the lineup for Chris Zurcher, number 25 for TCU, a sophomore from Johnson High School in San Antonio. So now if you are coaching, let me be delicate about how I put this, but do you encourage your players to behave in such a way that the officials might think that there was an elbow thrown?
Oh, you're talking about flopping.
No, I'm not talking about flopping. But I am suggesting acting.
Oh, there's a fine line.
Yeah.
I think there's a fine line. I think you've got to earn the credibility of an official, and once they find out, because they watch film too, once you get the reputation as faking something or flopper, or then you'll lose credibility. You won't get the next call. Word spreads amongst the officials too.
Star freshman right there, number 50 for Kansas State, DJ Johnson in the game for the first time with 4:30 to play. Hey folks, men's college basketball continues tomorrow night with a Pac-12 doubleheader at 9. Oregon State takes on freshman Shabazz Muhammad. And number 24, UCLA. And then at 11, it'll be number 21, Oregon at USC. Thursday night showcase presented by T. Rowe Price on ESPNU and also live on Watch ESPN. And let me hasten to just go back to the previous point and say I'm not accusing anyone of acting. I'm simply saying, based on your years as a coach, would you encourage players to perhaps embellish a little when contact came in?
No, you know, everyone, when you draw a charge, you'd fall down. So is that embellishment? I don't think so. But beyond that, don't fake like you got hit by an elbow. Don't do that kind of fake like you got hit on a jump shot. Because, again, referees watch film, and it's so thorough now, like Curtis Shaw, the head of Big 12, they watch film, and as an opposing coach, you send film to those commissioners, I mean, the heads of officials, and get word out that, you know, so-and-so on a particular team fakes fouls, and then that player will lose credibility going forward.
You can tell what flopping is. There wasn't any flopping on that play. Hill for three. Diaz, what a productive night, he said again, for Adrian Diaz. Irving. And Diaz a little energetic that time. That will be his second foul. 67-46, Kansas State, but Diaz has given the Wildcats a lift.
Right after this, guys.
67-46, Kansas State, leading TCU as Edric McKinney steps to the line.
I think it would be nice if Trent Johnson could find a break for Kean Anderson at times, and I wonder if he's not putting Zurcher in there to see if he can handle the ball a little bit, or maybe even the Hill, because Kean Anderson's getting worn out.
Yeah. Kansas State with the big lead. Go a little deeper onto the bench. This is Johnson, the freshman from St. Louis. They actually were hoping to have red-shirted him. Didn't do it. Weren't able to do it. Michael Orris, number 44. See him right there behind Johnson. He's just in the game for the first time.
I like this kid, DJ Johnson. Brings great energy, tough, seems like a good teammate. I like it. I like what he brings to this team.
St. Mary's BYU coming up following our game here in Fort Worth. Rebound down to Hill. Kansas State has also brought Ryan Schultz into the game, number 24.
The thing that could hurt K-State going forward is the foul line. They're 8th in the league from the foul line, shooting 65%. There's going to be so many games that come down to the last minute to making foul shots, and that's the one thing that I'm sure Bruce Weber is working on with his team during practice.
And 4 out of 10 tonight for TCU. See number 11 right there running down the left side of the lane. That's Thomas Monteagle, a junior from Paschal High School in Fort Worth, just into the game. Into Crossland. That was a wild shot by Crossland, but McKinney able to put it back in.
McKinney's not, he hasn't stopped working at all.
That's a big guy.
We talked about help is on the way for TCU. They've signed 3 players. The kind of the star of the recruiting class right now is Kavar Shepard, who's ranked number 48 in the country by our crack analysts with ESPN.
This is Zurcher.
Zurcher was the first one out here tonight working on his ball handling.
Good thing he was here. McKinney working hard. Diaz will be called for that one, and that'll be his 3rd.
You like his body, you like his shoulders. He's undersized, but with those shoulders, kind of like Charles Barkley was, you create space, and the defender, as long as Diaz is, still bounces off, so it gives you a lane to shoot the basketball. Talked about again the recruiting class. Signed Brandon Parrish, who's a 6'6" wing from here in Arlington. Kavar Shepard, who plays for Ray Forsett in the Urban DFW AAU program with Jazzy Hartwell, and Michael Williams, a 6'2" point guard out of Reagan High School in San Antonio, and they're real pleased with that recruiting class.
Yep, can't do it all at once, but they are definitely making strides. Trent Johnson has done it everywhere he's been. Johnson inside looking for Diaz. Now K-State, we mentioned before, has a chance to be, one of the top teams in the Big 12. But what they've got coming up here, Matt, this is no bargain.
Joke. The next 3 games, Oklahoma, again, we talked about them earlier with Lon Kruger, the K-State graduate. Then Kansas, we know what that game's going to be like. Then at Iowa State, Fred Hoiberg, one of the better coaches in the country, coach of the year last year with Bill Self from Kansas.
And a tough place to play in Hilton Coliseum. McKinney having a very big second half. 16-point night for McKinney. As we're under a minute and a half. Yeah, that's going to, Kansas State's going to know after the next 2.5 weeks a little bit more about how serious a contender they are. But as we sit here in the middle of January, you have to think they're certainly a contender for the NCAA tournament, as early as it is to be talking about that.
Well, it is early, but I would say the 2 locks at this point would be Kansas and Kansas State. But like you said, there's a lot of basketball to be played. We were talking about Texas recruiting. Bruce Weber's invested a lot in the state of Texas with his recruiting, as he has Alvin Brooks on his staff and signed 2 players from the state of Texas, Marcus Foster and Wesley Owundo.
Yeah, as you mentioned, you talked before about Siegel and LaMarcus Aldridge, and there's always been great basketball talent here in Texas for a long time. The independent school districts kind of conspired against them, those athletes participating in the sport, but the last 20-25 years that has not been the case, and some of the best basketball players in the country come out of Texas.
Well, no question. A lot of great athletes, obviously. And then I think kids realize that, these gyms are air conditioned.
Yeah, how about that? It does get warm here in the summer. Crossland and McKinney.
A guy who deserves a lot of credit for advancing high school basketball in the state of Texas is Mike Kunstadt, who puts on great summer events and also started the scouting reports in the state of Texas, and sent those out to other states. And all of a sudden, people came in and started picking some talent out of this great state of Texas.
Kansas State 3-0 in Big 12 play for the first time in 5 years. TCU still looking for its first win. 67-54 the final score. And a good look at the Wildcats and Horned Frogs and Rodney Magruder, who was the man. More coming up on ESPNU. Again, our final score, 67-54 K-State. Now, let's send you to the studio.